The following program is an original production of WICC PBS Chicago.
The mess at CPS, an FBI investigation and a $1 billion budget shortfall top the list of troubles for Chicago public schools. What's at stake for the district and the students it serves?
Trying juvenile offenders as adult criminals. Should Illinois judges or prosecutors make that call?
And turning an abandoned rail line into Chicago's next great park. It's called the 606 and opens in June. We'll get a preview. These stories and much more tonight on In the Loop. Good evening, I'm Barbara Pinto.
And I'm Chris Bury. Every year, dozens of teenagers are tried as adults in Illinois, convicted, and thrown into prison with hardened criminals.
Critics say that system sentences kids to a life of failure with little chance for rehabilitation. They want the law changed.
At the heart of the debate is this question: should Illinois prosecutors or judges have more power to decide which juveniles should face justice in adult courts and for what crimes?
When I was 9 years old, I was arrested for trying to steal a candy bar from a grocery store.
38-year-old Xavier McElrath Bay had a rocky childhood. He grew up in the back of the Yards neighborhood on Chicago's southwest side. He lived there with his mother, 2 sisters, and a brother. But he says his family struggled to make ends meet in a chaotic, drug-abusing household. They were often evicted and at times had no place to call home. McElrath Bay says by the time he was 11, he turned to a gang, seeking the bonding and stability that he did not have at home.
I was still very much impressionable, very gullible as a child, but at the same time, just trying to win the love and respect of my peers.
But earning that respect from the gang meant committing violent crimes. By the age of 13, he had been in and out of juvenile detention with 19 arrests and 7 convictions. His life changed forever in October 1990 when he helped lure a 14-year-old rival gang member into an abandoned building. The boy was beaten to death. McElrath Bay was charged with first-degree murder.
It was a gang-related murder, and he was a youth, a year older than I was, and at that time I didn't anticipate someone would die.
Even though he was only 13, because of the nature of the crime, under Illinois law, McElrath Bay was automatically transferred to an adult court. There, he was found guilty and sentenced to 25 years in prison. The Illinois law, passed in 1984, gives prosecutors, not judges, nearly all of the discretion in deciding whether to try offenders 17 and younger as adults. Stuart Katz is a judge at the Cook County Juvenile Court.
If that youth is 15 or 16 years old and they're charged with, for example, first-degree murder, aggravated criminal sexual assault, armed robbery with a firearm, it never even comes to juvenile court, and we never see that youth.
Those minors are often sentenced without any opportunity for a judge to consider if they should be treated differently than adults because of their age, mental health, or lack of maturity. Judge Katz says once tried as adults, those children are less likely to be rehabilitated than those who face justice in the juvenile courts.
Once you throw a youth into that adult prison system, they're pretty much lost, because all they're going to learn to do at that point is how to be a prisoner.
Under the Illinois law, the racial divide is dramatic. Of 257 children tried as adults between 2010 and 2012, 83% were African American, 14% Latino, only 3% were white. Even more alarming to advocates for juvenile justice are the lengthy prison sentences meted out to teenagers and children. Elizabeth Clark is president of the Juvenile Justice Initiative.
We are excessive. We try children automatically in the adult court, and then we give them sentences up to life without paroles.
Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle wants to change that. 2 months ago, she backed a fundamental change in the way Illinois treats juvenile offenders. The proposed legislation would give judges more power to decide if the children and teenagers should be tried as adults.
What this bill would do is, instead of making it automatic that these youth are charged as adults, it would make it discretionary, and it would have to go in front of a judge here first.
Under the proposed law, only minors 16 and 17 years old charged with the most serious crimes, murder, aggravated criminal sexual assault, and aggravated battery with a firearm, would automatically face trial as adults. Kane County State's Attorney Joseph McMahon believes some minors do need to be tried and sentenced as adults.
Those are adult crimes that had real, permanent physical consequences, physical harm to the victim. Those crimes should be, by law, prosecuted in adult court.
But Antoinette Kavanaugh, a forensic psychologist, says most juveniles are not mentally or emotionally mature. She believes all minors should get a hearing where their mental health and backgrounds are evaluated before any decisions on trying them as adults.
Part of the brain that helps a person make decisions, plan ahead, and weigh consequences that's the last part of the brain to develop.
Xavier McElrath-Bay says he is an example of just that. Unable, he says, to fully understand his crimes and their consequences as a child. McElrath-Bay says he only came to deeply regret his bad decisions after he turned 18.
I think that we forget that children are going to grow up. When I was 21, 22, 23 years old, they might as well have just released me and put someone else in that cell.
While in prison, he started to change his ways, taking classes and eventually earning a college degree. His good behavior allowed him to walk free after serving 13 years of his 25-year sentence. Today, he is the father of a 3-year-old girl. Now, with a master's degree in counseling, McElrath-Bay works for the Campaign for the Fair Sentencing of Youth, where he uses his own experience to advocate for changes in the juvenile justice system.
I think, unfortunately, that we forget that at some point in time, these are some of the most vulnerable, some of the most abused, neglected, and ignored children of all. And because of that, that sort of manifested itself in a very unfortunate and devastating way. But it's not too late to save them. It's not too late to give them another chance.
The reform proposal, backed by juvenile justice advocates and Cook County Board Tony Preckwinkle, could get a vote in the Illinois House of Representatives next week. Now here's Barbara with a look at the unfolding scandal at the Chicago Public Schools and other stories trending this week.